Hello and welcome to the Responsive Family Sleep Podcast. I'm your host, Kim Hawley, holistic sleep coach, lactation consultant, peaceful parenting educator, and mom. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by all the conflicting sleep info, frustrated with sleep information that just plain felt wrong, or searched desperately for a truly gentle and responsive sleep approach, then you are in the right place. In each episode, we'll be answering your most pressing baby and toddler sleep questions, busting those sleep myths, and helping you understand truly developmental, biologically normal baby and toddler sleep, plus encouraging you to trust your intuition along the way. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. This week, I'm doing something a bit bold and a bit risky. And that is, I am recording this episode over spring break while my almost 8-year-old is downstairs with my sister watching a movie. So I apologize if you hear some background noise. I got a bit behind on my podcast episodes and I wanted to take the time to get this in while I could. So this week we are talking about the power of the cognitive reframe, of viewing a situation that is challenging and hard and frustrating from a different perspective. And I thought it went really well with last week's episode that is a lot about nurturing yourself to take care of your nervous system, right? In order to better nurture your little one. And this kind of goes hand in hand with that, right? Because sometimes we need that cognitive, intellectual reframe of the situation alongside the being mindful, the present, the sensory, right? And so I bet you almost everybody listening to this episode has had one of these moments, right? Where your little one isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing. And with sleep, this can be, right, they are bouncing off the walls instead of calming down for bedtime, or they won't let you put them down, or they're crying and upset. And, with a toddler, it could be they're not following the rules, or they're not listening to your limit, or they're being childish and immature and being impulsive, right? Exactly like they're developmentally supposed to be, but it's hard. And you're starting to get dysregulated. And you start with the thought process of, I know they can do this. They should be able to do this. Other people have this easier. Why is this not going the way you envision it going, right? I mean, we all do this to a certain extent. I literally had this conversation with my husband a few days ago. We were going to try to check out a new bakery, and we drove instead of walking, and we parked the car, and we're walking just a few blocks from our car to this bakery, and my kids are all over the place, and they're like almost 8 and just turned 13, so they're not little. I'm just like, some people can just park their car and walk with their kids and just go somewhere, and it's like not a whole production. And he just kind of laughed at me, and he's like, yeah, that's never us. And of course I know it's never us. I know my kiddos, and it's not the end of the world. We weren't in a hurry, but those thoughts, right? Like, God, I'm getting kind of frustrated. Why can't we just have this happen smoothly? They creep up on all of us. And certainly in these really intense early years of parenting, they might creep up even more, right? And so in those moments, I think we have a toolbox of ways to help ourselves show up better, meet our kiddo where they're at, and help them with whatever they need in that moment. And so sensory strategies are certainly one, right? Deep breaths, mindful awareness, tapping, things that help your nervous system directly downregulate. And like I believe we said in our conversation last week with Jennifer, right? We're just aiming for a little bit more regulated, not perfect, not zen, not 100% calm, just that like 5-10% better regulated. But along with those strategies, I want to talk about 2 other ones today that help you cognitively reframe the situation and see it from a different perspective. So the first is curiosity. Why might this situation be playing out like this, right? What's going on from my kiddo's perspective? That could be, why might it be this way? It could be that you stuck with your normal bedtime, but you had a really late, long nap, right? It could be your evening was really rushed. It could be life has been really busy. It could be they're getting sick. It could be, they got overstimulated. It could be it was rainy and you were inside all day and they're a little stir crazy, right? What bigger picture thing might help explain this situation? It could be my kiddos seeking more connection. It could be they're seeking more movement and sensory input, right? What are they trying to accomplish? Not in an intellectual manipulative way, because that's not where little kids are at. That's not what they're trying to do. But what is their system craving in order to be able to relax into sleep? Or what is their system maybe on guard against, right? Are they having a big thing of separation anxiety? And so that separation at bedtime is feeling extra, extra hard. And we get a lot of those, they're just about to sleep and then they wake up and cling to you even more, right? So let's bring that understanding that comes from being curious. And so often we look at it in our perspective, right? I know that you can do this. Why aren't you able to do this tonight? Why is this feeling so hard? What am I doing wrong? And we just need to be what about from their perspective? What else could help us understand this situation better? And so that's one way that we can cognitively reframe, right? Is reflecting on the bigger picture. But another way we can, and this one I feel like has saved me so many times, is figuring out what affirmation in the moment you can say to yourself that helps you make that shift, right? Without the reflecting, the analyzing, the getting curious. That is super powerful and it's super important. And sometimes you can do it in the moment, but sometimes you're already getting too irritated, too frustrated, too stressed, too in your own head. And we need something simpler, right? Something that's just easy. So what is it that you can say to yourself that helps you settle, right? You soften, you understand, you get a little bit more regulated. And often these are affirmations, and you can use whatever helps you. I wanted to share a few examples with you, to get you started, but there isn't a right or wrong thing here. But one of my personal favorites, I've got to have said this on the podcast before, is your child is not giving you a hard time, they are having a hard time. And I got this from one of the peaceful parenting coaches, I think. I don't remember where. I got a lot of my affirmations, probably from Dr. Laura Markham, or possibly Sarah Rosensweet, possibly somebody else. So I apologize. I'm not trying to take credit for these. But they're not giving you a hard time. They're having a hard time, right? Because it feels like a lot of times our kiddos are doing stuff purposefully. And that's not true for an infant or a toddler, right? That's just not true. It's often also not true about our big kids, but that is a little bit more complicated of a conversation. They're having a hard time, and that hard time is showing up in their behavior, right? So that one literally got me through the first couple of years of the pandemic, right? When I had a kid in virtual school and a toddler. It was rough, guys. It was really rough. And was trying to work and see clients. And my husband was trying to work. And it was insane, as many of you who have older kids know. But this one it's my personal favorite. But another really powerful one is this is not an emergency, right? Because when your child is fighting sleep, when they are crying again, when they're wiggling all over the place, when you cannot get them to settle down, it feels like an emergency to your nervous system. And you're stressed and you're getting worked up. And they're picking up on that, and then they're getting more worked up, and then you get in this feedback loop that is not helping anybody. And so sometimes this is not an emergency, right? The worst that happens is you take longer for them to get to bed. The worst that happens is they have a bad night of sleep. Everyone is okay. And yes, If this is happening a lot and you're in a pattern and you're really tired, there is actually some urgency to big picture shift that pattern, but it's not an emergency. So that one works really well. Another one is like, I am my child's safe place, right? Especially when they're upset, they're clinging to you, all the big feelings are coming out. I am my child's safe place. Or I choose love. I choose connection, right? Actively choosing to be present with them and doing that powerful work of holding space and being with them. Another one I think I got from Laura Markham would be stop, drop, and breathe in the peaceful parenting world. I mean, maybe all of these came from hers. It's quite possible. But stop, drop, and breathe. And what I mean by that is stop what you're doing that you feel like you're spiraling on. Drop your agenda. Breathe, right? This is not an emergency. Choose love. Choose connection. Your child is having a hard time and you are their safe place. Boom, I just brought them all together for you. But you can see these reframes are designed to make you more empathetic, to help you slow down, and help you be more open to seeing where your child is at. When we bring that cognitive reframe, especially if we also pair it with something sensory, I like to use both. Like, I think we need to use both together. That cognitive reframe and then the sensory strategy together. So we have our affirmation, we take our deep breaths, longer exhale, whatever mindful breathing you like, or whatever it is that works for you in that moment. Our nervous system settles down a bit. Again, not perfect. And then when our nervous system settles down, our kiddo's nervous system can settle down more. We can invite it down. If we are amped up, we are inviting their nervous system to stay amped up or to amp up even more. And so when it's frustrating, when it's challenging, when you're like, oh my God, why are we here again? I know you can do this sometimes. Why is this so hard right now? That's not really useful in the moment, right? So, what could you need a bit more of right now? What do we need to do a little differently? How can we change this energy? And then you're having a real hard time, aren't you, tonight? Right? I'm going to breathe. I'm going to choose connection. I'm going to settle myself so that I can help you settle. So I feel like, especially those of us with more intense, more active, more alert, more highly sensitive, more persistent children end up in these positions more than others, right? Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your child is more easily amped up, thrown out of whack, right? Their nervous system is more easily disrupted. And so we are going to be in these places more than maybe your average parent, and definitely more than your parent of an easygoing child. So I hope this gives you some food for thought, right? We want to be able to help our thoughts help us, right? And when we can shift the way we're viewing a situation, that can be really, really powerful. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this episode left you feeling more informed, confident, and encouraged on your sleep journey. And just a reminder before you go that nothing in this episode is individualized to your specific sleep situation, nor is it to be taken as medical advice. Take what resonates, ignore what doesn't, and check with your healthcare provider about any medical concerns. Take a moment to subscribe to this podcast so that you'll never miss an episode. And take a moment to rate, review, or share an episode you love on social media. All of that helps parents just like you find me, this podcast, and this gentle and responsive sleep information. I'll see you next time.